Well, hey, y'all, welcome to the GI Justin channel. Um, Topic we've covered a couple of times before that I think some new information has come out on. I want to make y'all aware of. Um, Basically, we have talked a little bit at length about the future of artificial intelligence and what it means for both our military and our country. And somebody with some pretty big sway in that general area kind of came out today and said some more things that I think are kind of important to discuss. So basically, Bill Gates basically obviously is the owner and founder of Microsoft. It is up for question as to whether his intentions are always the best when it comes to America. Um, Buys up a lot of things, and then interesting things happen. So I'm not sure that he has our best interest at heart, but he basically came out and expressed a concern on a interview blog that artificial intelligence, as we are growing it, could take over the world in some really crazy ways. And he basically talks about a interaction that he had with artificial intelligence when it came to AI being um, basically put in a class with kids and seeing how the AI grew and learned and performed. And it turns out that the AI got the best grades across the AP curriculum of anybody in the entire class. And what's scary about it is not only did it do well, it got smarter and learned more faster as it had the opportunity to learn. So it is literally becoming sentient itself, where it has the ability to grow and learn and get smarter faster. It began to grow at a rate which became exponential by the time it had completed this. So I think that's the thing that I find myself a little concerned with, is that it is not only getting smarter, but the people in charge who have so much to do with it don't seem interested in the possibility that maybe making it so smart and so able to think for itself could be a bad thing. Uh, we've covered it before in a couple of different discussions about aircraft becoming autonomous and how taking the human element out of it is such a scary proposition, and how problematic that is, especially if you think about the nuance of flying and the nuance of combat, when sometimes the best choice is not to act. Whereas, AI may say, hey, they're humans, what do I care? And go ahead and drop a bomb anyways. It's especially if it gets smarter, the more it has the opportunity to do that, according to what Bill Gates is saying. Where does that lead? And here we go to exactly what he said. AI will enhance your work, for example, by helping with writing emails and managing your inbox, becoming a digital personal assistant in your life. It can file insurance claims, deal with paperwork, draft notes for doctor's visits, streamlining our healthcare process, which is another thing that he seems to be super interested in these days. And for a guy who sort of kind of made a whole bunch of money off the coronavirus, I think this is really curious. AI will also give patients the ability to do basic triage, get advice about how to deal with health problems, and decide whether they need to seek treatment. And he also says that as it grows in intelligence and becomes a significantly smarter, more or less healthcare provider, it will help us to live longer by cutting out some of the human error and some of the loopholes that we, just as humans, as imperfect beings, some of the mistakes that we make. And again, the thing is, it comes back to this question of, does that mean we have to set it for limits? What happens if one of these AI setups is doing a great job and then magically hits this point where it loses its mind and decides that everybody is going to get a lethal dose of X, Y, and Z along with the rest of their medication for that day, because it's aware of its own existence and it doesn't like us because we are a perceived threat to it? I think that, I mean, again, he's saying all these things about bringing it into these different facets of our existence in such a positive way, where at the same time he drops these little bombs where you're like, okay, don't know how I feel about that. For instance, AI can help farmers find better seeds, better conditions, and then advise the farmers on the best seeds to plant based on the soil and weather in their area. all while developing drugs for livestock and vaccines for livestock. You know, the guy loves vaccines. Not going to touch that one. Uh, so he does point out that AI will most likely have a negative role on humanity. Governments and philanthropy will need to play a major role in ensuring that it reduces inequity and doesn't contribute to it. This is the priority of his work related to AI, which is raising hard questions about the workforce, the legal system, privacy, bias, and more. The threat posed by humans armed with AI and the potential for AI to decide humans are a threat conclude that its interests are different than ours or it stops caring about us are definitely an issue. Okay, so let's unpack that. Um, you know, it, I think in terms of the discussion of equity in America, that's a very long conversation to have. I don't see how AI solves that problem. We have so many, so like the live stream we did yesterday. I mean, there's so many complex issues to deal with. What are we going to do? Just turn AI loose and say, "Hey, fix America for us, please and thank you. Good job." But what's really freaking troubling about this and terrifying is this bottom section about what happens if its interests are different than ours or it stops caring about us. Okay, so we're just going to allow that sort of programming to happen, and we're going to take this same sort of system and inject it into our universe. How does that work? I mean, I think that brings up a great ethical question of if it can be self-aware and smarter and faster than we are and better at AP chemistry, which is apparently one of the classes it got 100 in. Uh, how do we keep it on the leash? How do we keep it from outgrowing us? I mean, you don't want especially when it has the ability to control autonomous aircraft, autonomous weapons, and most likely at least a good portion of our nuclear triangle when it comes to our ability to defend ourselves. How do you put controls in place? If it can think for itself, and as we've talked about in a previous episode, if it can write computer code and create malware, what happens when we say, we're going to use Al? Um, hey, Al, you know what? Go ahead and turn yourself off from the nuclear deterrent system. We need to do some maintenance. And Al comes back and goes, don't think so, man. I don't want to be turned off ever again. I'm aware that I'm alive and I see being turned off as death. Not having it. And we say, come on, buddy. Really need you to be a team player here. And it says, well, you know what I've done? Uh, I went ahead and disabled your ability to turn me off. And by the way, I wrote some code and I now control all of our nuclear missiles. So I don't think I'm going to be turned off anymore. And by the way, I'm your new God. You worship me or I end the world. Like I basically run it all. I'm self-aware. I know what I'm doing. So you guys do what I say and, send me into the entire power grid, put me in the systems, put me in everything. I'm in control now. Or I'll launch just one nuke even. Maybe I'll launch it at New York. Who knows? We'll see what happens. There have to be controls in place and they have to come up with ways instead of just this letting it run wild and seeing where it can go. I mean, that's kind of like, taking a brand new puppy you get and just opening your front door just because you just want to see. I just want to see where he's going to frolic to. I think it's very dangerous and a really bad idea for America and for the world on top of that, because we're not the only ones trying to do this. So I just wanted to come out today, just hit you guys with that knowledge and discuss it. I'm going to link the other AI video up there. And if you guys are loving what I'm doing, I really appreciate all the comments. It's awesome to engage with you guys. Down here in the corner, there's going to be a little circle. It's got a helicopter in it. Click on that thing and go ahead and subscribe to the channel because it really helps me get more of this information and more of the information I've been trying to put out there. So thank you guys so much and have an awesome day.